Kenya's Great Rift Valley town of Kericho is famous for tea farms, most of them owned by rich families and global firms. However, locals like 95-year-old Kibore Cheruiyot Ngasura says they still remember the day in 1934 when Kenya's colonial rulers forced them out of their homes and took their land.
The day of eviction, armed men working for the British administration came and pushed us out of our homes by force. Women whose husbands were jailed were then raped. They beat everybody.
Lawyers for over 100,000 Kenyans in September asked the United Nations to investigate. They are demanding compensation for Kenyans forcibly removed from ancestral lands.
Our argument is they started a form of apartheid in Kericho, and our argument is that the world needs to know of all these things. Our argument is, much as we are very concerned, very bitter, and very much and very strongly coming out as people who were oppressed, we are also saying that we are reasonable enough, and they should be reasonable.
The British Foreign Office has said it will respond accordingly to any UN investigation. Kenya's Land Commission in February ruled, despite colonial laws to the contrary, that the British unlawfully seized the land. Tea companies are challenging the ruling in court, though, to prevent a takeover by the county government.
These people don't want to chase away investors. This is something I need to make very clear. But they know that these investors are doing honest business, but in stolen land. And they want to discuss how they can be remedied so that they can live harmoniously with the investors.
Meanwhile, aging claimants like Ngasura only hope to live long enough for justice, or at least, he says, to hear the British apologize. Mohammed Yusuf for VOA News, Kericho, Kenya.
Rwanda and Qatar co-hosted this year's Anti-Corruption Excellence Award Summit in Kigali, known as the AC Award, to recognize and support efforts to reject graft. The Economic Commission for Africa, ECA, and the African Union Commission, AUC, estimate illicit financial flows in Africa average an annual $50 billion to $148 billion. Transparency International ranks Rwanda the fourth least corrupt country in Africa, however, and the second least corrupt on the mainland after Botswana.
Compared to maybe other countries, African countries, I can say that Rwanda at least tried to do its best, even if we have still a long way before us.
Putting government services online is one measure Rwanda has taken to prevent corruption. While higher-level corruption is no longer rampant, Rwandans say you can still run into local corruption.
In many cases, you find that for a local leader to help you at a local sector level, he sometimes tells you, buy me a beer. It is not done like this, without respecting the law.
Nigeria is routinely ranked one of the more corrupt nations in Africa. At Nigeria hosted African Union Summit on Corruption in June, Rwanda's President Paul Kagame said facing down graft was a choice.
This is a campaign that can be won. Tolerating corruption is a choice, not an inevitability.
Aside from the Anti-Corruption Summit, Qatar also sponsored a monument in Rwanda that represents public solidarity in the ongoing fight against graft. Eugene Uwimana for VOA News, Kigali.
The judges have selected